guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hope everyone's doing okay. I'm just in the kitchen at the moment doing some bottles while baby is asleep. I've got some more to do after as well, but I've got like two different stages of bottles. He's currently in between the both at the moment, so this is like an extra flow teat and then this is like a slow teat. They're all 0 months before anyone's like, oh my god, like what are you doing? You know, I've raised a 6-year-old, I'm not completely done. Maybe blonde, not done. But yeah, popped on to just come on and talk to you about my situation and what happened at the hospital, why my stay was longer. It was nothing to do with baby. Baby is perfectly happy, healthy, and you know, he's gorgeous. But obviously I told you I'd come on, explain what had happened. Now, before I do get into that, I don't want anyone thinking that this video is hate towards staff, hate towards the NHS. It's not at all. It's purely my experience and what was good, what was bad, and what I believe could have been done different under the circumstances. Now, before I do get into it, go get a brew because I don't know how long I'm going to be talking for. Baby is just asleep at the moment. He's doing quite well for his sort of sleeping pattern. He gets up for a bottle. He'll occasionally stay awake for like an hour or so. Sometimes he goes straight back to sleep, you know, but he is only, you know, 2 weeks old, nearly 3. But yeah, so I know that this video is probably long overdue, but don't forget I didn't leave hospital until a week after my birth, so I'm kind of a week behind everything, if that makes sense. And I still came out of the hospital with extra illnesses and things that were wrong, so it's taken me a little while to get back on my feet. I would also like to mention as well that baby is not going to be shown in this video. I know that's probably disheartening for a lot of you. However, me and Ben are not ready just yet to show baby. The meaning for that is I haven't even taken him into my daughter's school yet. Very few and far between people have actually seen baby, and at the moment we're just embracing our young little family, and I hope everyone can respect that in a sense. So I'm going to start this video. Hope everyone does enjoy this content. If you don't like this content, please just scroll along. You know, there's no need for hateful comments, no need for nastiness. And yeah, if you do like this content, please press the like button, share your friends and family, and please keep on watching. So guys, I will quickly just go into what had happened briefly before starting everything off. So I went into labour early hours at, I think it was about 4:15. My waters had broke, which was a completely new experience for me because my waters never broke with Skylar. I had a few complications with Skylar, and if anyone is interested about hearing the birth around my daughter, you know, let me know in the comments and I'll sort that out for you. And I think I said that last time, and I think some people said they were interested, but to reiterate, if you are interested in my daughter's birth story, just let me know in the comments. So yeah, I went into labour early hours. I was sort of scared. I was waking Ben up. I was going, Ben, 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 Ben. Like, my waters are broke. He's going, no they haven't. I'm going, he's like, there should be more water than that, Abby. I was like, Ben. And I stood up, sort of started gushing out. He's going, it's not your waters. There should be more. It's only like trickling. I'm going, Ben, my waters are breaking. So we did all what we needed to do. We got to the hospital for around 5 o'clock. Now, I was diagnosed with something called strep B, which means that in labour you need to have antibiotics. So obviously we rushed to the hospital because once them waters break, your baby is susceptible to the strep B infection, which can cause multiple things like cystic fibrosis, things like that, which obviously are quite worrying and concerning things. They can cause other things, you know, but if you are interested, just look up about the strep B infection. I went to them, they put me on a bed, they monitored baby for about 20 minutes. Now, in my birth notes, I actually requested regular monitoring of baby, which once I had this 20 minutes, I didn't get any other monitoring, which was quite scary for me because the contractions were getting very close together. So 2 seconds. Sorry about that, guys. Baby has just woke up. He's sort of settling back off now with a bit of music from Cocomelon in background, you know, so if you can hear that, please mind, you know. So I was having contractions more regular, and sort of what had happened from there is I was asking, what about the strep B? Now, at this point, I don't know if they checked my notes, but I was saying every time that I came in, you know, I've got strep B, I've got strep B, you know, and if I'm not having my C-section straight away, I need to be put on antibiotics because I'm in labour. So obviously I was a bit concerned about that, and then the fact that, you know, they weren't the regular monitoring. Now, they got me ready for surgery at 7:30 in the morning, and I didn't go down to surgery until after dinner. So I was getting kind of worried because the contractions were getting very, very close together. And like I said, I'd never experienced this before. This time around, my waters had broke and the contractions were getting very close together. They were irregular, but they were getting closer and closer and closer. I mean, some of them, they were like between 2 minutes to 3 minutes, and I'm going, oh my God, the baby is coming. I was getting so concerned. Either way, you know, I do think they should have monitored baby a bit better, looked at the notes a bit better. Every time I went through as well, because of my learning difficulties, I did request a separate room. Now, the reason for that is because I get very stressed out, and with my daughter, the noises and everything were a bit too much for me, you know, like you've just gone through this major surgery. Other things were obviously happening this time around as well, but I did request the side room. Now, the reason for the request is because I get so overwhelmed with people's noises, high-pitched noise. It's just like a sensory issue that I do have, like when my daughter's watching telly and Ben's watching his phone, and then one of them are playing on the Switch or something like that as well. Like all that noise in one go, like, oh, my head. Like, you know, it sounds stupid, and it is stupid, I suppose, but obviously people with autism and stuff, you know, they get stressed out by noises and things like that. I mean, I could go on all day and tell you about all the things that are wrong with me. What's right, you know? No, I obviously I'm right normally, but we all have these quirks, and whether you've got learning difficulties or not, you know, I'm not saying that I was exempt. However, every time I saw someone new, they were like, oh, let the other person know, let the other person know, let the other person know. I'm just telling you that now for later down the line. So anyway, I finally gets down to go for my C-section. Everything went so perfectly, you know, I saw baby come out, which I didn't with Skylar, so I'm so amazed watching him be put on me, because I never got that with Skylar. Yeah, it was really, really nice to experience that, because I never got to experience it with Skylar. I was actually half, you know, comatose out of it, didn't know what was happening. Ben actually got to cut baby's cord this time too, so that was wholesome and lovely. I just wish someone could have taken a picture of him doing it for me, because yeah, he got to do it, and I know he got to do it, and he knows, but just the picture, you know, had been perfect. But, you know, baby was happy and healthy, and that's all that mattered. Baby cried as soon as he came out. On a whole, it was it was a good procedure, and it was really, really nice. They welcomed me with open arms, and the surgeon's absolutely perfect. Like the MAU staff as well, like they were really, really good. If you don't know, MAU means Maternity Assessment Unit, so they assess you. Obviously, if you're in labour, they sort of keep you there until you have to go down to delivery. After the surgery, I was put into a bed with other people, which again, I didn't mind. I knew that was going to happen. However, I did mention to a couple of nurses about the fact that, you know, in my birth notes, you know, my midwife did sort of say, put it in there. That's how you sort of reserve a room for yourself. So that's what we did. And it also meant that Ben got to stay with me, because with Skylar, I kept ringing bells, she was screaming, I was on my own, I couldn't move my legs, and everyone recovers differently. If you know that I'm telling this to the people that are in potential C-sections, things like that. If you know that your body is not ready to get up and walk, not ready to get the catheter out, not ready, do not allow them to make you rush it. The reason I'm saying that is because the first time round I was rushed so much. I was told to just get up and walk. What's wrong with me when I had my daughter? Now, this time I was much more reserved and I had a bit more energy. And this time I was like, no, I am not ready. Like, I still can't move my feet, you know, like I can't move my legs. How are you expecting me to walk to the toilet when only my feet can go? You know, it's not happening, you know. They woke me up at, I think it was about 4 o'clock in the morning to ask me to get up and walk this time, which I know they've got a job to do, but at the same time, you've just gone under major surgery. You've just, you know, had a baby. The process before having a baby, where your whole body goes through this exhausting process to get you ready to have this baby, you know, like, please note your body is different to everyone's. You know your body better than anyone. Don't let any member of staff rush your healing process, because at the end of the day, you rush that, your body's not going to be able to recover as fast as you need it to for your baby. So I just want to make that clear. So yeah, I did end up having the catheter out the next morning. They did keep coming and asking me, you know, but I didn't. Before I did end up in this bed sit though, I was put into a recovery room and I had to stay there until they sort of normalised my blood pressure, which only happened because I got diagnosed with something called postnatal hypertension, which basically is high blood pressure after birth. So I got put on some blood pressure medication for that, which I'm still on. You know, I've been able to drop down back to 1 tablet a day because it was up to 2. I've now gone back down to the 1. My blood sugars were normal, baby's blood sugars were normal, because obviously I got diagnosed with the gestational diabetes just a few weeks before giving birth, which again was scary because I've never sort of been through that before. All mine and his were normal, so there was no thingy of that. However, they do say that you can potentially get it later down the line now that I had the gestational diabetes. So that's obviously something to work with, look for, you know. I have actually stuck to some of the changes, like the decaf coffee, not having the big yogurt pots anymore. But again, I'm not craving them anymore because he's not inside me. But yeah, so I have stuck to some of the things in there, and I do recommend anyone that is diagnosed with the gestational diabetes, listen to what the nurses say, go for your plan, because they don't tell you to cut out everything. They don't tell you to stop eating pizza or anything like that. They just tell you to cut back on things. Or if you have the pizza, don't mix it with another carbohydrate, you know, like, what works for you will work for you, I promise. And after the birth, just try and make small changes. You don't need that massive one straight away. You know, you're still recovering. You still might need that pizza. You might not fancy pizza. You might just want cereal, you know. You might not even fancy any of that. But anyway, again, waffling. Anyway, after that, I did get put in this bed sit, as you all know. I'm telling them that something's not right. My stomach's really in pain. And day 2 of being in this bed, I get the doctor come down to me and looks at my stomach, because later in my pregnancy, all the bottom of my stomach went rock solid. Now, I kept asking midwives, I kept asking my consultant, they were all going, it's normal, it's normal, it's normal, it's just your stretch marks expanding, if your skin's not stretchy enough, it goes hard, all this sort of stuff that they were telling me. Now, in my head, I knew something was wrong, which is why I kept mentioning it. But they were like, no, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Now, after the birth, I had severe pain in my stomach. Now, I don't mean down there, you know, where the C-section scar is. I mean around my belly button, my lower belly. And they're going, it's normal, you just had surgery, you just had major surgery, it's fine, it's supposed to be like that. And I'm going, it's not my C-section scar. Like, can someone please listen to me? The pain in my head, the pain in my stomach, because at this point as well, I'd developed like a severe migraine. Like, I suffer with migraines anyway, But oh my god, this migraine was on another level. Like, I remember lying there just feeling like a vegetable, not being able to move my feet, not being able to move my tummy, not being able to move absolutely anything. And the pain I was in, yeah, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, honestly. Like, I was in so much pain. So this doctor comes around, like, oh, he sort of assesses me for my head and says, like, oh, if the pains keep happening in your head, like, we'll have to get the anaesthetist back to you. And I'm getting, alright, okay then. But the stomach, they actually said I had something called cellulitis. Now, if no one knows what cellulitis is, it's basically an infection of the skin. So no one gave me any antibiotics, no one did anything about it. The pain was getting more severe. Obviously, you know, when you're in pain, it finally took to day 5 for me to get a proper answer after 3 doctors had said, you know, you've got an infection in your stomach, to get antibiotics. The infection was that bad, I was on 1,000 milligrams 4 times a day for nearly a week. I think it might have been a week actually. Like, that's how bad. Like, it's still tender and so it's not hard. I mean, there's like lumps in there, but I'm putting that down to the fact that, you know, I've just had major surgery and things like that. But yeah, this process, like, it should, if they're telling you you've got an infection, you should really be acting on it, because to me, that could be like life or death for some person going through an infection. Do you know what I mean? Especially with the high blood pressure and the other things that were going on, which I'll talk to you about in a bit. But yeah, so I had to keep reminding him as well of when my meds were due, which you shouldn't have to do. But anyway, I also finally had this meeting with this anaesthetist, and the doctor also turned around to me and said that he thinks that I had something called a CSF fluid leak on my spine, which is basically a pinhole sized hole in your spine, which is from, you've got like your spine and your brain, and you've got like a bag around them. And when they do the epidural or a spinal, you can basically be left with this small puncture hole in the bag, and it starts slowly draining, which causes the migraines, which is why it doesn't happen straight away. But it can make, if you sit up, it makes you, like, you feel like you're going to pass out. Your headache gets severely worse if you get up, which is why, because I kept explaining to the nurses I couldn't get up and walk around, and they were like, why can't you? And I was like, my head is pounding, like, my stomach's in agony. I can still barely move my feet, but I couldn't barely move my feet because I was too busy in pain in the rest of these places. And they're going, of course you can walk. And I was like, yeah, I can walk with help, with assistance, you know. That's not walking. And they're going, you need to walk around more. And I'm going, I'm trying. I'm really trying. Trust me, I don't want to be in this hospital any longer than I need be. But yeah, so basically they diagnosed me with a spinal leak. To combat this, I had to go under a blood patch, which, if you don't know, is blood that's taken from your arm or other places. Mine was in my arm, and it's injected into your back, and you have to lie on your back for 24 hours. You can get multiple things going wrong, so you can get a severe backache, like bad backs, because obviously they're injecting your own blood into your spine. You can get paralysed, temporary paralysed, nerve damage, all these sort of things that could happen. Just thought I'd pop on to show you this little screenshot. If you do want to read, just pause the screen. I was very... They gave me the option of if I wanted to see if it fixed itself or if I wanted to undergo the surgery to fix it. It had about a 60 to 80% chance of fixing it the first time. If not, it went up to about 90%, they told me, the second time around, if the first one failed. But after the blood patch, I did feel instant relief, which is what they said could happen. But over the next couple of days, I did sort of develop a really bad back, and the anaesthetist and the doctor said to stay on the oral morphine as long as I need it. And the midwives, some of them, Like, this is the part that I was on about. Like, some of the staff were absolutely lovely. Like, one of them, like, she went home after the 3rd day. She was like, oh, it's my last night. Hopefully you aren't here when I come back, when I start my shifts again. I was. But, you know, some of them were absolutely amazing. However, for instance, this time around, like the oral morphine situation, I had one nurse, midwife, whatever she was, turn around and say, I don't need morphine. I'm supposed to be off it. You're only supposed to have it for 24 hours. And I proceeded to explain, I've got a skin infection. I had a leak in my spine. I've just undergone a blood patch. She's going, you had that blood patch days ago. You should be fine now. I goes, okay, I only had the blood patch last night. Like, honestly. And may I add as well, I only came off it at midnight that night because I explained to the doctors that I didn't want to be in the hospital for as long as I needed to be in there. So what they were supposed to do, they recommended me to stick to the 10ml dose. However, I turned around to the midwives and said, every time you give it me, halve it so that I can get off it quicker, so that I can go home quicker. Did they do that? Did they boot? They gave me 5ml a time, so they halved it the first time and then never halved it again. So I kept saying, and then on the last time I'm going, I don't want this. They're going, just take it this time, we'll give you the 2.5 next time. I'm going, no. They're going, yeah, just so I ended up having this last 5ml, and I turned around to them and I was like, I'm not having it again now. And they were like, but we can do the 2.5ml next time. And I was like, no. So to prove a point, because this one midwife, it was as if she was accusing me of being a druggie. Like, I wanted to be lying there in like a vegetable state with a severe backache and a pain in my stomach, because at this point, by the way, may I add, I still weren't undergoing treatment for the skin infection that I had in my stomach, the severe skin infection I had. So I still had the pain in my stomach. I was moving around a bit more now, but not as much as I could have been. Like, I was still holding on to walls and stuff like because of the pain and everything else that was going on. So yeah, I would also like to add as well, the first night when I got there, when I asked for the separate room, they told me there was no rooms available. So my father had seen some rooms, so he was like, oh, there's some rooms, like, can we not be moved? And they were like, no, they're for people who've reserved them. Like, I hadn't reserved them, do you know what I mean? Telling us all sorts of stuff. Anyway, this woman's turning around, like, giving us dirty looks and all sorts, going, you'll have to ask my colleague, you'll have to ask my colleague. She's going, like, talking like down to us. Anyway, that person was taking the piss out of me, please mind my French, taking the piss out of me at the reception desk as my father went out to grab a sandwich. And just before then too, they turned around to my mum and said, my daughter, who is this? Why is she here? So my mum had to explain that, you know, this is actually one of your patient's daughters who are allowed to visit from 9 in the morning till 9 at night. Again, a joke. And then she's going, well, she can only have 2 visitors at a time. No, you can have your 2, you can have your partner and your children, and then you can also have your 2 visitors at a time. So they were trying to tell my mum and my stepdad that they had to go away. So I turned around and says, they're here, my father's just gonna get a sandwich, you know, and that's my daughter. I haven't seen my daughter, and I want to see my daughter. This was on the first night. The second time, sorry, I've got an itchy eye. The second, switch over, I turned around and I was like, is there any news on this bed move? We'll find out for you. So this woman comes back and they were trying to kick Ben out, and I'm going, I asked for Ben to stay. I was supposed to have a room on my own, you know, because of the circumstances. It's in my birth notes. It was supposed to be looked over. I've spoken to every single person. I've been passed from pillar to post. Now, at this point, I was getting sort of rather antsy, and I'm like, why? So I turned around to this midwife and I was like, look, like, I've been treated disgusting since I got through here. I've had midwives slag me off. I've had midwives, you know, do what they've done to my daughter, do what they've done to my stepdad. This nurse goes, they didn't mean it. I'm going, they do mean it. He goes, well, some people they don't know what they're saying. She goes, like myself, I've got autism and ADHD. I goes, oh, me too. I said, that's why I requested the separate room sort of thing, because I can't deal with noise, I can't deal with certain situations. Now, to me, I shouldn't be judged for that. There was other reasons why I wanted the separate room. But obviously the learning difficulties and things, like the people that were screaming, like they were effing and jeffing, I'm trying to like get my baby to sleep, and yeah. Like one woman who was next to me, she turned around and she was like, oh, their baby next. My baby had only woke up once in the night. And every time he stayed, it was because her baby was screaming. Like, I have no issue with other people's baby screaming, but she was just leaving. Like, she weren't trying to help. Like, they were asking stupid questions as well, like, how do you birth a baby? How do you do this? Like, I know that everyone starts off somewhere, but while you're pregnant, shouldn't you really be searching this stuff up? Personally. Like, I'm not judging anyone, but yeah, I was just a bit, she just left this baby. But anyway, this partner come in the next day, and she's going, their baby next door kept my baby awake all night. Anyway, we reached a couple of days in, came round, did the hearing tests. Obviously, they do the hearing tests when the babies are born, they do them at certain times. So they did the hearing test on my baby. Everything's fine, everything's perfect, you know. They did the hearing test on their baby. It's going, baby can't hear in both ears. So she had to be referred. So if baby can't hear in both ears, how has my baby kept your baby up all night? Just wanted to add this little clip in so you could see what I actually meant. Can someone please, like, she was telling her partner all sorts. But again, a different story for a different day. Then I was speaking to this woman, and you know, she was lovely in the end. Like, after she realised, you know, I've got learning difficulties, because I was like explaining to her, Luke, it's the principle. I'm not having a go because like I'm having a go. I'm just saying that how they treated me is wrong. I've just undergone major surgery, I've got this skin infection, I had a leak on my spine. You know, I only asked for a separate room because of all this other stuff that was going on, as well as the learning difficulties, amongst other things. I did end up getting my own room, and Ben was able to stay with me for a couple of nights. It was hard when he had to go home, obviously, considering all the stuff that was going on in the meantime. However, yeah, it just weren't great service. Like, being slagged off, my daughter being told that she couldn't be there, me visitors being told that they couldn't visit me, this woman telling me it's all in my head, and that, you know, people are allowed to say what they want. It's not nice, you know, you're recovering from major surgery, you've just had a newborn baby. It's not good. And to me, I did put on the survey that they need to look into training their staff on people with learning difficulties and how to manage it better, because I'm not being funny. It's like the staff, they had so many staff on in the day, but then they only had 2 staff on at night. How are 2 members of staff supposed to look after an entire ward of people who've just given birth? How? I know that there's cutbacks and skeleton crews everywhere, but at the end of the day, it's not good enough. Not for the NHS, not when there's so many women who need help, and they have help from 9 till 9. Partners, children, all sorts of people between 9 till 9, and then if other visitors, it's 6 till 9. You know, like, they get help then. There's so many people in the day, they get help. Well, within reason. I was sometimes left for 30 minutes, 45 minutes before anyone would come and see me. I was requesting my own tablets because they were forgetting about me. They weren't coming around on the drug rounds. They kept forgetting my drugs on the drug rounds. One of the final days, this was actually when I just turned around and said, I want to go home now. I can self-medicate myself much better at home. I've had enough. The blood pressure tablets that I was on, they were trying to keep me in because my blood pressure was high. And I was explaining that the blood pressure is high because I was supposed to have my tablet at 7:30 in the morning. And they goes, yeah, they've put it on the sheet that you've had it. I goes, well, I've not had it. I'm telling you, I've not had my blood pressure medication. So they did finally end up finding out that I didn't have my blood pressure medication. They just basically realised that it was only due pain meds. They didn't look through the entire chart. They just looked at the front and said, oh, she's had pain medication at 5 o'clock in the morning, so she's not due anything now. Not looking that, you know, I was prescribed at this point dihydrocodeine, paracetamol, lactulose, peppermint water, obviously the oral morphine, but I'd stopped at this point. And loads more other things. And oh, I tell you what, it was, yeah, they did apologise about that, but I was I was discharged because I kept getting, I'm fine now, I need to go home. I did lie about having a poo slightly. I didn't have a poo. It got to the point where I was severely constipated at home. I was taking double the amount of lactulose and everything that they recommended. I clean myself out because I haven't gone poo at this point in a week. This is where obviously, like, after my daughter, she'd brought home an illness from school, so we've all got coughs and we're still coughing up mucus and stuff now. So we've had this cold. I had the severe constipation. I've been recovering from the skin infection. I also ended up with a suppository the night before I came home up my bum, which popped a pile that I didn't know that I had that formed during pregnancy. Yeah, I looked in the toilet after I tried having a poo, and oh my god, I nearly cried. I nearly cried, guys, honestly. So that concerned me. I ended up with something called, well, this is another thing as well, like, they told me, yeah, you've got piles, we'll prescribe you some Anusol. The next day, I still haven't received the Anusol. Like, my arse was on fire. We're all frenzied, do you know what I mean? And they're going, have you not had your Anusol yet? I'm going, no. They've prescribed it though. I'm going, yep, I know. Tell that to my bum that's currently crying. So yeah, like, it weren't the worst situation I've ever been in, but it weren't ideal. And like I said, apart from them few members of staff that, you know, are very disrespectful, you can tell they've not had kids, you know, they're quite young, they've never been in that bed where you're lying, they don't know what you're going through. They think they know it all because they've read it out of a textbook. And this is no shame to everyone because that's how everyone learns, you know what I mean? I've got a degree in forensic science, like, I know that that's how you learn. However, you don't need that attitude towards people who are recovering in a hospital bed. Like, my partner said, I heard other people on the ward going on about, like, the care that they get. Like, they wouldn't even bring the dead dog. Like, it's so horrible for people when you're recovering in that bed. Like, anything can happen, do you know what I mean? People, babies, everything lose their lives in your care, and you're slagging them off behind a desk because they requested a side room because I've got issues. Yeah, I've got issues, you know. And I'm not normalising the fact that I've got issues. I was trying to keep them under wraps so I weren't causing other people issues by getting stressed out, by getting overwhelmed, by getting anxiety, by getting the depression that, you know, starts me off in this whirlwind. Because I didn't know it then, but with Skylar I had something called postnatal depression, and I said to them I did not want to go through that this time. Do I believe they could have, the handover notes could be better? Yes. They tried telling me that my son was like an entire pound and odd less what he weighed because someone's put it on a handover note. I'm going, well, he didn't weigh that. I had a midwife argue with me over the fact that I'm telling you my son weighed completely different than what your paper says. It's in his red book, it's on the system. I'll go check. A few hours later, oh yeah, it's on the system. I mean, you could have just come back straight away and told me that. You didn't really need to disappear for hours this time and make me think that, you know, there's something wrong. So handover notes could be clearer, could be wrote better. Just because you're in a rush, like the severe things can go wrong because you're in a rush, not handing over properly. Like the people that handed over that morning where I didn't get my blood pressure medication. You know, what if my blood pressure went that high and I ended up in a fit, or you know, something went severely wrong? Like, these people are in your care. At the end of the day, you have a due diligence to look after them. And people who are, I'm sorry, this again, no hate, but people who are not going to look after you, who are going to slag you off, take the piss out of you because you've requested a side room, because you know you won't be able to cope with other people. It's not my son, it's not my partner, it's not my visitors. I'm aware of what they do. Does that make sense? Like, but your baby crying cannot help crying for 10 hours a night. You can't help swearing. And I mean, this one woman who came visited this girl next to me, she was effing and jeffing over a pair of fucking shoes for hours. Go get your fucking shoes on. I don't care. Find your effing shoes, just put your effing sliders on. I don't care if you're wearing the socks with them. I mean, it's not needed, it really is it. But yeah, like, it was more towards the beginning, but I do feel like those members of staff slagged me off that much to members of their staff, that there was only certain people that would come in and check on me because I requested a side room. I was being difficult because I requested something for me and my baby's personal development. And to me, that's wrong. I should never have been slagged off. My fella shouldn't have caught you slagging me off. You shouldn't have spoken about my daughter that way. You shouldn't have passed it off just because they are members of staff. None of this should have happened, personally. However, the other aspects, like some of the staff, oh my god, I could take them home with me. Like, they were absolutely beautiful. Like, nothing was ever too much. They'd always go out the way for you. Like, yeah, they were perfect. But sometimes I'd be pressing that button. You'd always know when the members of staff that didn't like you were on, because they wouldn't come to your bed. Or they'd send someone else. They're supposed to be looking after you, but someone else would come. They'd say, oh, they're busy. Yet you'd see them having a cuppa at the desk doing absolutely nothing. But again, people like that personally shouldn't be in that sort of line of work. I know that if I wouldn't be able to handle it, I wouldn't be in that line of work, and I'm not in that line of work because I know that I wouldn't be able to handle it. Like this lady that I was on about, like with the autism and stuff, like she openly admitted to me she can only work nights because she cannot deal with the people in the day. She can't deal with the screams, she can't deal with, you know, the lights, she can't deal with all of it. And that's what I was explaining to her. Like, I was trying to turn the lights off and keep it dark and dim and everything because I get obviously the severe headache. Other things that were going on, the ward was so hot, so the lady opened the window, but then other people were getting too cold. Like, if I was just in this side room, I could open the window as I pleased, we could turn the lights on and off as we pleased, you know, like all this stuff was completely avoided. And they had a bed available every single day that I was on that ward. Every single day there was a bed open, because my fellow would go around and check, you know, like there was no need for any of it that had happened. And I do believe that those who are in that sort of line of work, who are doing what they're doing to patients who've just undergone major surgery, who are trying to do the best, who are trying to look after the babies, who are just, you know, trying to survive at this point, I think they either need to grow up, they either need to learn how to deal with people who are in them sort of certain like they didn't even know. One of them was slagging off a lady because she didn't know how to give a baby formula milk. Like, stop. Do you know what I mean? Then another lady took a mick out of another lady that came in because she didn't know how to breastfeed. Like, you're here to help them to learn, to be there, to support them. You know, like, just because you're a midwife in-house doesn't mean that your duties and your actions aren't later led by consequences of your actions. Like, you can help them to latch half-arsedly because you can't be arsed, and then they're going to go home and have loads of issues. It's like, one thing I will mention, these bottles, which I should probably sterilise, they are self-sterilising. You clean them as normal with bottle brush, you know, I use antibacterial washing up liquid, but you wash them as normal. You put 20 ml of water in the bottom of them. I put a teatful in, you know, you fill the teat all the way up, put it in the bottom. You organise it how it's supposed to be. You don't screw them on. You put them in the microwave for 3 minutes at a time. Every consecutive bottle after that is an extra minute added on. Now this nurse turned around to my fellow when he was doing bottles in the middle of the night. Oh, how many minutes you put them in the microwave for? It goes minimum of 3. Every extra one's an extra minute. She's going, oh, I've only been putting them in for 2 minutes. I'm not being funny. That there can cause so many issues. What if they aren't sterilised properly? What if there's still bacteria in them? That mum is going to go home to her family. If her baby got ill, like, I mean, touch wood, you know, touch wood that never happened, but if her baby got ill, all because this nurse didn't know how to sterilise a bottle, and we're being left in their care, that mum can feel so much guilt, feel like it's her fault, feel like she's done something wrong because you've been half-arsing sterilising their equipment because they can't get out of bed. This is what I mean, where I do believe that, like, these rooms that they do, they're big enough to sort of block them off and make them into their own rooms. They really are. You don't need a 4-bed set. You don't. You understand if, like, it's an overflow. I get that. But this is a ward with, you know, probably more single rooms than there are these 4 beds. So, to me, yeah. I got treated better when I was pregnant than I did after my son's birth, and I just think it's wrong on so many levels. And like I said, this is no hate towards the NHS, it's no hate towards the staff, that we're not great, but I do believe that in this sort of circumstance they could be trained in different areas to help them become better, maybe more extensive training, not just being thrown in. Like, I'm not being funny, I know that the NHS is struggling, so I know it's not easy, but it's easier than normal to get a job right now. However, these people are only doing it for the pay, and that you heard them talking about pay. It's all they spoke about. Anytime that I went into the day room, all they were on about is pay. Every single time. If it weren't pay, it was about money. And you're supposed to be in this line of work because this is what you love to do, this is what you care about, you know, you're adamant this is what you want to do in life, and that's what it used to be. And now it's not. Now it's literally just about a job, surviving a 9 till 5 or a 9 till 9, or doing whatever you can. And it's so wrong because so many women are being mistreated off the basis of someone who just wants a piece of toast and a quiet life, while there's people who need you. Like that 30-45 minutes wait where I waited. What if I'd have dropped my baby? What if I'd have fell out of bed? What if something had severely gone wrong? It's like the emergency button is on the wall all the way at the back. So again, well, if there's a real bad emergency, just press the emergency button on the wall. But you've just numbed me from my waist down. How am I supposed to get out of bed and press that? I can only press the call button, which you're taking 30 minutes, 45 minutes to respond to, you know. But again, what do I know? That, again, this video wasn't about, it was just sort of what I'd been through, what had happened, and sort of what they could be doing better. Because I don't know about you, but a few of them things that I went through, I don't agree with. Personally, maybe it's because it happened to me. Maybe you're all watching this thinking, you know what, stop being such a moan-arse, you know, you're alive, you're happy, you're healthy, your kids are okay, your partner's okay, that's all that matters in life, and it is all that matters to me. However, there was quite a few times in there I thought the worst. And I didn't need to think the worst, because I should have just had the adequate care that I needed. Like, I was one at the most. I didn't press the buzzer every 2 minutes. I weren't asking for help every 2 minutes. I only pressed the buzzer as and when needed, and they still weren't there. So what do I do as a person? You know, because I was being judged because of my learning difficulties, because I'd asked for something that was obviously clearly too much in this circumstance, you know, and I got given it anyway because I had a spinal leak. So to me, and you know what, the amount of rooms, like the room next to me the entire time was only filled one day, and that was when I was coming out. I mean, it just weren't needed really, was it? But you know, Hi, I'm just editing this video now. I forgot to mention as well, one of the things that annoyed me was I asked for some new stockings for my legs as my legs were getting swollen. The night before they were that swollen, they were actually getting even more swollen and burning up, getting red, patchy. I requested a doctor to come see me and the doctor never came to see me. The midwife said that they'd asked, but this doctor never came. Anyway, the next day I took off my stockings because they were digging in that much. They were bruising my legs. I'd got like really severe orange and purple patches, like where they were digging in. I'll see if I've got some pictures or something that I can insert here. So guys, here you can see the purple and the orange marks, and then the night before when I requested the doctor, as you can see they were swollen red raw, and then the next day is I got bruising just underneath my crease and the lines that you can see across my legs. It just weren't good. So I'd asked this midwife if I could have some neck size up stockings. She goes, no, you don't need them, they're perfectly fine, they are, you should expect bruising. So in the end she did say, I'll go get a doctor to come check on you. So this doctor came and a different midwife came in to do some obs, which is rare. I had to request them because one woman turned around to me not long when I stayed and asked me, well, she didn't ask me, she goes, oh, your observations are all fine and everything, aren't they? I goes, my blood pressure hasn't been checked in since like last night. She goes, oh, because it was supposed to be done quite regular. Obviously with me having the high blood pressure, I'm supposed to be monitored, and yeah, they didn't. But anyway, this nurse came in and, well, midwife, and this doctor turned around to her and said, can we please get this girl some neck size up stockings? The second I had these stockings on, instant relief. Instant. My swelling in my legs went down, and because this midwife as well that requested me to see this doctor, which I didn't think she was going to be honest, because obviously I'd been promised the night before, but this doctor that came in, well, midwife, sorry, she looked at my legs and she goes, yeah, they're swollen. I goes, yeah, so I was diagnosed with something called pitting edema. So she was like, it's not pitting, you're fine. So I showed her, like, I pressed my skin in. She goes, you held on to that. You pressed and squeezed. My fella looks at me, I look at my fella, and we're just like, wow. Absolutely wow. But yeah, thought I'd add that in because that's again another bit of moment. But yeah, I'm going to leave this here so I can end the video. I am going to go now because this video is so long and I've got to edit it, and God knows how long that's going to take me. So yeah, you might not see this for a few more days yet. But I just wanted to come on here and talk about my experience and what had gone on, why I was in the hospital for so long. You should have seen the goodie bag I came home with. It was so big. I had antibiotics, I had blood pressure medication, I had paracetamol, dihydrocodeine, anisole, lactulose, a Sharps box, daltepathine. Yeah, I had this massive bag because in the end I ended up with the postnatal hypertension, a severe skin infection in my stomach, obviously pain meds for the C-section and the blood patch that I had done. I ended up with piles, so I ended up with cream and lactose to try and have a poo and, you know, sort the piles out at the same time. Obviously the delta-parfine for the injection, which, before I go as well, when I got discharged, the midwife needed to get me an appointment for the doctors to take over. I was like, you're not going to get me an appointment, and she didn't, you know. So the next day when I said like, oh, I'll go in the morning, I'll try to get myself one, they couldn't give me one because apparently the hospital hadn't discharged me. So later that night, I had to go back up the hospital to collect my blood pressure medication because I just wanted to go home that day and they'd forgot to do my blood pressure medication on my chart. So I had to go collect that anyway. But I had to go back to them. Luckily, the same woman who discharged me was there, otherwise I wouldn't have got the discharge papers. And explained to her that my GP haven't received my discharge papers and I'm not officially discharged, so they can't overtake my blood pressure care. So that was fun. Not that they gave a crap, because they sent me a message on how to deal with my blood pressure, and it was buy your own blood pressure machine or go and get it checked every 1 to 2 days. Not being funny, just had a baby, I've had an illness, I've had other things going on. I haven't had my blood pressure checked since I last had my GP appointment, which was a week ago. And yeah, that scares me. However, I've been taking my medication, so I'm hoping to go and get my blood pressure checked later when I go up to see my midwife. We have been out a couple of times to get out the house, to not stare at four walls. We did take Skylar Alton Towers because, yeah, she just needed some... We were trying to take her without baby, however, we ended up taking baby with us. But yeah. Either way, I'm supposed to be looked after. They've put me blood pressure tablets back down because they were getting back down again. I have started taking the blood pressure tablet at night instead of the morning though, because I'm finding that at night I'm starting to get really woozy, and I don't know what that's about. But yeah, right, I am going to go now because I'm just waffling on about all sorts of different crap, moaning to you about absolutely everything. I'm going to go wash these bottles. Water starts. Pretty surprised at how long I've been on here. So yeah, I'm going to go sort my bottles out, go sort some bits out, go give my baby a cuddle when he wakes up. And yeah, hope everyone is doing really, really well. If you do like my content, guys, please press the like button, share with your friends and family, and please keep on watching. Hope this video isn't too long for you, and if it is, you know, oh well. I tried. But yeah, I'm going to go now. Hope everyone's doing okay, and I'll see you soon. Bye.